Hello everyone, thank you for taking time to join MuleSoft Meetup Chicago. We'll give ourselves a couple of minutes to get started, and also I can see our attendees ramping up. We had a lot of RSVPs for this event, close to 100, almost close to 100. So. We are expecting some more people to join, so we will give ourselves a couple of minutes and then we'll get started. Again, welcome to the Chicago MuleSoft Meetups. We are ramping up our attendees here. I'm just giving a couple of minutes for everyone to join. We've had close to 100 RSVPs. So we are going to give a couple of minutes for everyone to join and then we'll get started. Let me also let you know that we are recording the session, and if you have any questions, you can feel free to put it in the chat. And I have my colleague Lakshmi joining in, so while I present, he may answer some of the questions that you may have in the chat, and then hopefully we'll also have some time to answer questions. Okay, I think we have a critical mass here. I think probably the number of attendees will continue to keep going up, and that's great. We have 30 attendees here, and as of now, and so let me get started. What seems to be a packed agenda for the next 1 hour. So thank you once again for taking time to attend the MuleSoft meetups for Chicago. I appreciate and thank you for your participation in the meetups. We are going to have an exciting topic today, and we also have a partner, a close friend of mine, Aaron, and Big Compass to um, to share their point of view on their on KPIs for APIs topic. So with that, let me get started. So the brief agenda, again, the timings are very tentative. It may move around a little bit here and there. The idea is to talk about how to establish and measure KPIs in the Anypoint platform. So we'll initially talk about the concepts, what MuleSoft has to offer in this space, and then we'll follow it up with a brief demo. Then we have Big Compass with us today. Big Compass, thank you for joining. We will have Big Compass share their point of view briefly on the same topic, and then we have a trivia, as we typically try to have every meetup to keep the excitement, and then we are going to wrap up. So with that, let me get started. So yeah, we are going to talk about Metrics framework. So we now call it Metrics Accelerator, but it used to be called Metrics framework until a few months ago. So it's pretty much the same thing. So in some of my slides, you may see Metrics framework. So don't worry about it. Metrics framework and Metrics Accelerator is kind of the same thing. So in the first part of the presentation, we'll look at some definitions around KPIs and matrix, what we want to call a KPI, what we want to call a matrix. And then we'll look at some of the extensions, and then we'll look at how the framework works. So, so Metrics Accelerator is an extensible Mule application intended to collect, aggregate, and load metrics into different visualization systems. So basically, we have our Anypoint platform, and so in Anypoint platform, you can build your integration applications, you can build your APIs, you can. So once you build your integrations and APIs, you have these assets that you build, and then you publish them to Exchange. So your assets are cataloged in Exchange. So we are good till there. You have your assets and APIs in Exchange. But what about how much progress are we making in terms of what has been our reuse percentage? So we have been building APIs, and MuleSoft has been a big proponent of reuse, and reuse is something that we want to extract, and that's how we talk about. And so reuse is the basic thing of an API-led methodology, so that you are able to reuse the APIs that you have built in the past to build your network, and ultimately you build your composable enterprise. So, but then, is there any way to track how much reuse are you getting out of the platform? Are you getting incremental reuse? What are the APIs that have more than one consumer? What are the APIs that are probably sitting idle and doesn't have more than one consumer? Then, okay, what are the APIs that do not have any policies administered on top of it? How many users are using the platform, and is it growing over time? Is it declining over time? So these are all these different attributes that you would want to measure in the platform. But there is, no direct way of measuring that in the platform out of the box as of now. So what our professional services team did is they created a project, and then they made that project openly available in GitHub for everyone to access and use. So we are going to talk about that project, and that project is Metrics Accelerator. So through this project, you can measure some operational metrics, some platform metrics, and some external metrics, and we are going to talk about that. So let's first look at some of the definitions. So what's a KPI? So KPI is a quantifiable value that reflects a strategic business goal and how successful that business is in achieving that goal. So a KPI is something that you want to measure. So let's say in this example, how many of my APIs or what percent of our APIs are being adopted or being used across the platform. Again, I took an example of percentage reuse. Percentage reuse is basically a KPI. So you want to say, okay, how many APIs in our platform are getting reused multiple times? To measure that KPI, you need a matrix. So matrix is a building block of the KPI. So you say that matrix is a quantifiable value that you want to track for an aspect of the business activity. So let's take an example to clear this out. So basic matrix can be, number of APIs, number of vCores, number of users. These are basic matrix. Okay, I have 50 users in the platform. I have 8 vCores in my production environment. These are matrix. And then you take these matrix and slice and dice in different ways to come up with your KPIs that are meaningful indicators of your business. So you say, okay, API adoption and projection is one KPI I'm interested in. So how many APIs are getting adopted by all these different business units in my organization? That's a KPI that I want to measure. Platform adoption over a period of time is something that I want to measure. So that's your KPI. So the idea is by collecting metrics over time and drawing them in a timeline chart, you get to see the behavior of a specific metric, and that's how you measure. So basically, in other words, in simple language, you build a dashboard. You track these matrices that are coming out of the platform over a period of time to say, okay, now we see some improvement, or we don't see much improvement across these KPIs. So this is just an illustration of the same thing. So, so for example, you have a matrix, say exchange asset current count. So how many number of assets you have in exchange? Okay, 40, let's say. That's an exchange asset. So total number of assets you have. Now, then you take it and you take more information out of it. Okay, what are the different types of applications that are there? So, okay, these most of them are applications. Some of them are policies. Some of them are custom policies. Some of them are extensions. And so this is a composition of your assets in exchange. And with that, you say, okay, you draw it in a timeline to say, okay, how many APIs are growing over time. So, okay, assets growing over time is one KPI that you want to track. So you say, okay, my API publication growth rate is 65% per a quarter. Now this is a KPI, and now you can set some benchmarks to say, okay, did I achieve my goal, or am I underperforming, or am I performing beyond my expectations? So now there are different KPIs that can suit different persona. So again, I know that I may be walking very fast, and my idea is to get some time for question and answers, and also so that I can spend sufficient time on the demo and also give sufficient time to be compassed to present the POV. But in case you have questions, and you definitely are welcome to have questions, please put that in the chat, and we are going to look at those questions and respond back to you. So we are welcome to put your questions in the chat. So, okay, coming back to KPIs and personas. So we have different type of personas in our organization, working all towards a common goal. So we have developers, we have architects, we have security team, we have DevOps operations, we have IT directors looking into the organization holistically. you have all these different type of personas. So KPIs, some KPIs will be common across personas, and there will be personas who are interested in very specific set of KPIs. Just to take an example, like, interested. So for example, a platform architect or a program leader or a sponsor would be interested to know vCore allocations versus availability, so that they can plan it out. API specs published versus number of APIs. APIs call per environment, active, inactive users. Security team would be more interested to know, okay, how many APIs are running without policies? How many APIs are there who probably doesn't have an OAuth authentication? Again, number of applications that are active, inactive. Then lead developers or architects are maybe more interested about, reuse. How many reuse can we drive? Do we have API fragments? Are we following all the best practices around API specification, design, and development? And so there are different personas, and you can have KPIs and metrics that are suited to those different personas. Okay, then we will talk a little bit about what features we have. So in a nutshell, what were we talking about? So before I go into the demo, just giving a high level, and then I will walk you through what we have got. So basically, it's a compact Mule application, very easy to configure and install. We'll talk about that in a moment. We'll try to show you as much as possible. Then metrics provided. Out of the box, we have more than 120 metrics calculated from the Anypoint platform. So that's across Exchange, API Manager, Access Management, Runtime Manager. Then we have SDLC metrics. So this framework is extensible. You can actually integrate your Jira, your organization's Jenkins, because it's, again, an API-led thing. So anything that you can access through APIs, you can pretty much extend and incorporate it. So Confluence, Bitbucket, whatever, you name it. So you can incorporate those metrics here as well, so that you can build this as a single platform. So then again, very important considerations, how you can run this. Okay, so you can run this in two different ways. One is you can run this in a polar mode or as a scheduler. So you schedule it, it runs, let's say once a day, once a month, or once a week. You have to make a decision. Obviously, this is not something that you will really track on a day-to-day basis. There may be one or two metrics that would probably interest you to track on a day-to-day basis, but mostly you are going to look at this over time. So over a reasonable period of time, how much your API adoption rate has increased, or how much reusability are you getting out of the platform. And the other mode is an API mode. So you can really, you can just run as an API, and you can get a snapshot. Okay, what exactly is the percentage reuse right now? What's a snapshot of? Okay, how many specs we have right now? How many specs have policies administered to them right now? So you just run it as an API, get a snapshot of your kind of overall picture of how your platform is set up right now. Okay, then visualization options. Visualization options is like, so you can extract these as an output in forms of CSV and JSON. You can feed them into Splunk, ELK, or Anypoint monitoring. For Anypoint monitoring, you need custom metrics and you require Titanium. Here I have an important point that's probably not mentioned very directly here. There's a common question that comes up. I have Anypoint monitoring. Why is this not there in Anypoint monitoring? It sounds very similar. Anypoint monitoring is more around the operational side of things. So how my APIs are doing in terms of CPU usage, response time, errors that are happening. So it's more from an operational perspective, smooth operations. This is more about your KPIs. And although this is primarily about the Anypoint platform, it doesn't have to be only Anypoint platform. And that's why I said it's very easy to extend and incorporate Jenkins, Bitbucket, and you name it, Confluence, whatever you want incorporate, you can incorporate. So you can really build your organization's KPIs that can definitely be centered around endpoint platform, but really can extend. So we have a few out-of-the-box visualization options that I will show you. That we have Splunk. Pretty much, we have pre-baked dashboards created in Splunk, and Elk. But you can also create your own visualizations. Excuse me, using let's say Power BI or Tableau. We are thinking of building Tableau dashboards, but it's pretty much a work in progress, so I don't want to commit to anything. But let's see. So, but as of now, we have Splunk and ELK dashboards pretty much built into the platform. Sorry, not the platform project. This is just a sample of how the CSV looks like when it comes as an output, and how the JSON would look like when it comes as an output. Then we'll look at it. These are some of the built-in dashboards that are already been built into the project. So if you are using Splunk, the setup is probably 15 minutes. I mean, and you can get to some real rich dashboards, or Elk. So this is just an example of what are some of the pre-baked dashboards that are built into the project already for Splunk. And again, this is just a sample snapshot. We'll look at it in our demo as well. So some Splunk dashboards that are pretty much out of the box. Once you integrate and just make some configuration changes, you just click and refresh, and your dashboard is up and ready. So the one that I'm showing in this one is more kind of a snapshot view. Okay, so if you like, for example, hit your platform APIs for one point of time, you can get this data as a snapshot. So for example, okay, 663 API assets classified across these SOAP APIs, REST APIs, fragments, okay, some policies and this and that. And this is one flavor of the dashboard. The other flavor of this dashboard is this timeline charts. So over a period of time, how have we been, how much progress have we made? Over a period of time, are we flat? Are we improving? So this would happen if you are running it in a polar mode. This won't happen if you are running it in an API mode. Because an API mode, you just hit it and you get some data. It's pretty much a snapshot until and unless you are taking that and putting it in a database and maintaining it on a timeline basis. But if you are using Splunk or ELK, an extender will do the stuff for you. So you run it in a polar mode, and every time it runs, it exports that data to Splunk. So that your timeline charts are getting built there through the HTTP event collector. Some considerations, I think, pretty basic. So if you have a very large organization of more than 25 business groups, it can be a problem sometimes to run. In those cases, so first of all, I would rather go and ask you, do you really have 25 different line of business units to have 25 different business groups? Otherwise, you are doing something wrong, and you probably have to check. The other thing is, but in case you really genuinely have 25 or more than 25 business groups, you can limit it to some business groups and run it across some business groups and environments. You can use different schedulers with different cron expressions, and I can show you where you can configure that for those different business groups. And then, then some of the other things are you would need org admin access for some API endpoints. So some platform APIs. Ultimately, what you are doing behind the scene is you are calling platform APIs. You are calling a bunch of platform APIs. So you need to provide right set of permissions for those APIs to be called. So so right set of access permissions. Yeah, that's pretty much it, I'd say. And SDLC, yeah, I'll try to get to this if I have time. I'll try to shoot for this. This is basically that extension I was talking about. So you can integrate Jira, you can integrate Jenkins into the Matrix framework project, and you can basically, with minimal configuration, you can get some data out, and then obviously you can customize and get more out of the box. More data. One thing to mention is like out of the box dashboards for SDLC Matrix are not provided. So if you are the visualization part of is something that you have to build. Data you can extract because the configuration and the code for the loader and the extender is there, but the visualization dashboards are not provided for those external systems. You have to build that for you. And these are some just Jenkins, Jira, Confluence, Bitbucket is pretty much done again out of the box. Again, just for the data extraction part. For the visualization part, you have to build. Okay, and these are some. I don't want to go into all the details. You have some matrix that are built into the platform out of the box for these external matrix. And then there are ways you can extend the framework. You can extend the framework. If you have to extend the framework, you probably have to follow 4 steps. You just have to write an API call, and you have to create a collector, and then you have to build an aggregator. You can follow the framework and you can build these. Not super difficult. But this is only if you want to extend. If you pretty much want to use it as is for the platform, you don't have to do all this. Okay, now let's get to the sweet spot. Let's get to the demo part. Okay, so let me first of all give you a walkthrough of what it looks like. Okay, so this is the GitHub project, and again, open to everybody. You can pretty much get into the code. The first thing I would want to show you is here are the dashboards. So for Splunk and Elk, we have already dashboards built, and I will show you how easy it is to create a dashboard in Splunk. It's literally, you can build it in a few minutes. And same for Elk. So then we have a good README, so you can just go and read it, and that will give you an idea as to what Matrix Accelerator is. Then we spoke about this diagram, so all these different things or different matrix, then different modes, polar and API mode, loader options. You have CSV, JSON, Splunk, Elk, anypoint monitoring. And then we have the exhaustive list of all the matrix. This is 120 plus matrix that you can get out of the platform. Then I think it's important, this part, so requirements. So you need a Mule runtime of 4.2.1 or above. Deployment options supported, very important. So you can run it from your local. You can run it from Cloud Hub. You can just put it in Cloud Hub. Any environments, it will run. So remember, the way it works is that it needs your org ID, okay, and it needs an org administrator user ID password of the platform. Once you provide that, it really doesn't matter from which environment you are running this, okay. So you can run it from your pre-production environments and pretty much get the information across your org, across your production, different business groups, whatever. So you can run this even from your local. Not very recommended on a consistent basis that you run it from your local, obviously. But I'm just saying, like, you can run it from your local and get the entire data from across your org. So yeah, you don't have to run it in your production environment. You just can run it in a pre-production environment. That's it. You can run it in Cloud Hub. You can run it in your on-premise. You can run it in Runtime Fabric. Really doesn't matter. As long as you are not in the private cloud edition, you can run this. And 99% of our customers are one of the 3 deployment models. Okay, then so as I mentioned, you need an org administrator role. If you are using a connected app, this is also a very recommended way of doing it. and then you probably need these the scopes. You probably need to read it and make sure you have that in your connector line. Then we have clearly articulated steps as to what you need to do. So you clone the GitHub project, you adjust your properties, and we'll go through that a little bit. And these properties are kind of mentioned here as well, so that these properties are some of the things that you would want to. So these are the SDLC things. Maybe if you don't want to use SDLC, maybe in the first run, just don't do it. So yeah, pretty much that's it. And now let's move on to the demo part of it. So this is the Metrics Accelerator project that I have, and this is just for the purpose of saving some time. This is running, but this is as simple as just get that project in your workspace and run. I mean, literally, trust me, that's it. I'll show you a few configuration settings that you would probably need to do. So if you are running in Polar mode, you need to make sure that you mention Polar enabled equal to true. You make it true, and you set up a frequency. So here I have set up frequency to run it every minute, and that's why this is running every minute. Okay. Now, so here you can specify a loader strategy. If you have to get the output as CSV, you mention the loader strategy as CSV. And then you can configure your Splunk. So I have a local Splunk. So I can configure it here. And then I have to configure the matrix, the indices. I'll show you in Splunk. And then if you have, this external SDLCs, so you have to enable, you have to turn them as to true. So I have enabled, let's say, Jira. So I will mark it as true, and then I have to provide the host name, port, and path for Jira. Same for Jenkins. So I have a local Jenkins setup. I'll show you. So, and then that's how I've just configured it here. You just use a token and you just configure. So for running it in a Polar mode, you need to configure your secure properties. So as I mentioned, there are three things that you need. You need your org ID, you need your username, and you need your password. And these I have put it in my secure properties. You know how to put your secure properties. If not, just Google it out in docs.mulesoft.com. You have a way to encrypt your properties file as a secure properties file, and it's very simple and straightforward. Okay, so then you provide your Splunk token. And for your SDLC matrix, you just provide your your user token. So for example, for Jira, I have provided my token here, and same for Jenkins and for Jira. So so that's kind of it. I also let's say for Jira. So for Jira, you can see that this is already baked out. So basically, getting your properties from Jira is already baked out. Similarly, we have loaders. We have aggregators. So loaders for Tableau and all that is already baked out, but the visualization part of it is not done. Same for Jenkins. Anypoint monitoring. And again, anypoint monitoring loader is built, but then again, you have to build your custom metrics and your dashboards. So the visualization part is not built. You have to build that. Okay. Let's try to look at what it actually looks like. So so here is Splunk. This is my local instance of Splunk. Okay, even before that, let me show you. So since this is running, and this is running in this console, so I can just see the console and see there are mainly 4 type of endpoints that are been given. One is platform matrix, one is business matrix, one is SDLC matrix. I'm sorry, there are 3: platform matrix, business matrix, SDLC matrix. So for platform matrix, so you have to provide your org ID, as I mentioned. So I have an org. I'm using it for testing. Okay, I think I was doing it here. So you can see that this platform matrix. I'm able to able to hit my org and get some platform matrix here. So total active users, exchange matrix. So all of that sort, it's coming in a JSON format. You can simply take this JSON and feed it to Splunk. That's not obviously the recommended way of doing it, but just as a POC, you can do that. Then we have something called business matrix. So business metrics is like, how much productivity are you getting out of this system? So you need certain inputs that you need to feed into the system. So for example, developer API historic time. So what a developer would typically take before MuleSoft to develop an API. So let's say it's 10 hours. And then this is giving as an example. Obviously, 10 hours doesn't make sense. So what's current time? So obviously we're using MuleSoft, so you're saving on a bunch of time. So you probably take 5 hours here. So let's say maintenance. For maintenance, historically, how much time would you take? So let's say 8 hours. And with MuleSoft, you're probably taking 2 hours. And what's your developer day rate? So let's say $100. So with that configuration, you can get some savings projections as how much savings are you getting out of the platform, and you can obviously configure and you can extend it, you can modify this. This is actually open. The code is open, so you can do whatever you think is meaningful. And you get some response here, okay, based on some calculations. You can go and change that also if you want. Same for SDLC metrics. So SDLC metrics. So I can show you. So this is my local Jenkins setup. So I have a job that is consistently failing, and intentionally made that way so that I can build some stats out of that. Then you have a job that is successful every minute, I guess, running every second. And then I have a job that I haven't started yet. And then I have a Jira setup, and then I have some user stories in Jira. So as I showed you, I was able to configure that and in the properties file. So now I am able to just go ahead and pull these matrix here. So you can see that total failed jobs, total successful jobs from Jira. These are all coming from my instance. Same for Jenkins, I'm sorry, and same for Jira. So, and obviously you can take this to a next level. So as I mentioned, the collector, the loaders are all provided. The visualization part is what you probably need to build. Okay, so I know I'm coming out of time. I'm almost raced through this. 3 minutes. Let me show you the Splunk dashboards, because that's the coolest part of it. Dashboards. So as I mentioned, I just showed you like there are out-of-the-box dashboards, and you can see that once you configure that, you pretty much can have these out-of-the-box dashboards get this data. So, okay, so these are snapshot data. Like, okay, I'm getting one business unit. These are the current number of users, in the last 60 days, active. And then you have some timeline charts. So, okay, how are we doing over a period of time? Are we making progress? Are we not making much progress? So, for example, access management business groups timeline, users timeline. Okay, how many users are we increasing out of the platform? So these are for different orgs. And then environments, how many environments have we built? And similarly, there are other dashboards as well. So let's look at, let's say, Exchange. Okay, so current assets in exchange, exchange assets broken down by type, and timeline. Okay, how are we doing? How much progress are we making in terms of generating assets in exchange and all that? So how you and the configuration, let me just share you for the configurations. It's very simple. If you just have a JSON that you want to ingest and do some dashboarding, you can just click on add data, and just you can upload a JSON file. Probably not a very systematic way of doing. So for you have to go to data inputs, so settings, data inputs, and you need to configure an HTTP event collector. Once you configure the HTTP event collector, you can get the events generated and uh, feed into Splunk. For that, I think you have to build two indexes. So two indexes would be matrix and platform benefits that you have to do, and these all steps are mentioned in that README file that I showed you. And once you configure them, then your platform matrix and your business matrix will be feeding into Splunk. So let's see how easy it is to configure a dashboard. So what all you do is go to dashboards, you go to create a new dashboard, give it a title, let's say demo, and then you say create dashboard. And then you go to source, and you just copy and paste the source from here. So you just go to dashboards, Splunk, and let's say, okay, what dashboards do you want to make? So let's say platform benefits. Platform benefits dashboard is what I want. So just copy it, and you paste it here, and you save it. And see, I'm getting some dashboard. So this is as easy to create a dashboard. So the data is already there. Once you create the dashboard, it's already able to build it up for you. Okay, so I know I'm on time almost. In fact, a minute late. So I would stop sharing and pass it on to my friends here at Big Compass, so that they can share their point of view on KPIs of APIs. And then we will also have a quiz trivia at the end. So stay tuned. And if you have questions, please feel free to put that in the chat, and then we will definitely look at them and respond. So Kapil, can I set as host? Kapil, see if you can take control and share your screen.
Apologies, I was muted. Can you hear me, Prasenjit? And can you see my screen as well?
I'm able to hear you.
It should be orange screen. But
Yeah,
excellent,
we are able
excellent.
to see your screen.
Well, I think we're now pressed on time, so I'll get going. I'll try to be super fast. Prasenjit, thank you for teeing that up really nicely. So I'm not going to go into why we need to measure, but what I want to start with is a quote from Gartner from early 2020, which while you read, I'm going to tell a little story behind it. So instead of reading, so we're working with different customers. As as we were working with different customers, we were seeing kind of a common theme or a thread, you will, across all of these customers. The key stakeholders, the customers, were asking us questions like, "Hey, what's my ROI on this investment, API investment that I'm making? Are we able to deliver more now that we have APIs than we were before? You know, uh, what are we doing for security? How's our security posture? Do we feel comfortable where the platform is in terms of security and stability? You know, are we seeing organizations embrace the idea of API? So, you know, basically, are there more developers building, building apps using these APIs, or even building APIs now compared to before? And last but not the least, you know, what are we doing to understand our blind spots so we can kind of overcome them? So we heard all this stuff from our customers, and we looked at this quote from Gartner. You know, that kind of inspired us to put something together. We call it KPIs for APIs, and we started on this little internal project, and you know, some of the goals we set for ourselves, you know, from a feature perspective, you know, it, it should be tailored for IT executives, right? That means, you know, these key stakeholders who are asking these very high level questions, they should be able to, you know, get the information they want out of this dashboard. It should be real-time metrics, should be an objective view. You know, it should be able to source data from anywhere, like Prasenjit was showing, you know, from different places, not just the endpoint platform, SDLC as well, and so on and so forth. And it should be ROI focused. What does a customer get? You know, they can start thinking, you know, the value the platform is providing, and not just worry about the cost of the platform. They could have their finger on the pulse. This is real time information, so they know all the time what's going on. Within their platform. Um, the other benefits we kind of set out for ourselves, you know, is to identify improvement areas. You got to know where you're lacking to figure out where to improve. Um, they should be able to make decisions based on data, real data from their platform. And last but not least, you know, celebrate the success of the API platform and the API strategy. So with that said, I know there's a lot on this slide. I'm going to be super brief. I want you to focus on the four categories in orange. So what we did was we thought of a bunch of KPIs, and we classified them in four broad categories. Adoption and expansion, that's all about, you know, reuse, usage of API, and you know, within your organization and business groups. Efficiency and cost saving, Prasenjit kind of touched on that. That's around SDLC. That could also be the cost of the platform. vCores, are we using them efficiently? Are we building these APIs, you know, at a rate that is acceptable? Is the app development, now that we have a rich set of APIs, is the app development getting any faster? Security and vulnerabilities, you know, obviously, you know, very important when it comes to APIs. That's the third category. And last but not the least, organizational success. And there, what we're talking about is, you know, how are customers, you know, I'm not talking about external customers only. I'm talking about internal customers. These are API users. How are they feeling? Is it easy to onboard, you know, a new API user to the API, and so on and so forth. So with that said, real quickly, looking at the solution, which is very extremely similar to what Prasenjit was talking about, you know, we have a lightweight Mule app running on MuleSoft, which is what is doing the orchestration. It's pulling the data out of obviously endpoint platform using different APIs there, and it's pulling information out of, you know, these other external systems. So far, we've implemented Jira. We're working on Azure DevOps. GitHub is not ready yet, but the idea will be similar. We pull all that data and push it to an Amazon SQSQ, and from there it goes to Elk, so Logstash, and then Elasticsearch, and Kibana is where our dashboard resides. And we also did kind of something similar. This works in in Elk, and it also works in Splunk. What I'll focus today is on the Elk piece of it. So with that said, let's jump into the demo. And I have that pulled up here. Again, I'll try to be fast here. How are we doing, Prasanjit, on time? I got a couple of minutes right here.
Sure, I think we can do
Okay.
4 minutes more for sure. I think 3-4 minutes more.
Okay, perfect. I think that should be enough. Perfect. Thank you. So this is the first dashboard. If you remember those 4 categories that I was talking about earlier, adoption and expansion. So we, built a whole bunch of graphs based on these KPIs. So what this graph on the left is showing you is each API that we have built, which business group it belongs to, and how many calls are being made to that API, and what the name of the client is who's calling this API. As you hover over there, you can see that. So kind of shows you, which APIs are heavily reused, which aren't reused that much. This is, again, something similar, but it's more about how many, which API has how many, contracted apps, So, for example, this API has 3 contracted apps. This one's got 2, and so on and so forth. Again, just because they're contracted by 3 clients here doesn't mean they're actively using it. So I think it's kind of important to have a sense of both of these. Similar information here, but it's more of a heat map. So the darker the color, the more the API is used and by who. So at the bottom here, you're seeing the API name. On the left, on the y-axis, you're seeing the client app that's using that API. So shows you that heat map, who's using which API and how much. This is a breakup of which business group or line of business, however you want to think, is building how many APIs. So which business group is really taking on embracing this API idea. These 2 are pretty similar. Success rate, you all know that. You can click and filter. You can click any of these, and it'll just show for that API. But these are the graphs. Failure and success rate. So a lot of these APIs are working most of the time here. Of course, this is mock data. We've caused errors in these APIs just to make the graphs more interesting. API usage, this is similar, but it's a pie chart as the graph above, so I'm going to skip that. Average response time of these APIs. How are we doing there? And again, like I was saying, if you click on one of these API, if I click on customer API, it will show me, it'll filter all these graphs just for that API and show us information about that API and that API only. This one's an interesting one. So what we said was, hey, vCore usage, that's central to our customers' heart. How much, how often are our vCores, for a given API sitting around idle? So anytime there's a 5 or more minutes of idle time, we actually increment that number by 1, and that's what you're seeing here. That's what we call silent time. Number of calls to the API, request and response payload size. Real quickly, security and vulnerabilities. What you're seeing here is number of policies applied to an API, number of policy violations per API. And then you can see they're color-coded which API policy is being violated, how many times. And this is something we see a lot where APIs are there, and some of the required policies are not applied, and this shows you which those APIs are, the culprits are, and which is the required policy that's missing. And this is the last piece I'm going to show. This is all around the cost. So cost to build an API, we're pulling that out of Jira. Cost versus real cost versus estimate, again coming out of Jira. We took a blended rate, obviously multiplied the number of hours. Defects per API, open versus resolved, and calls per vCore. So how efficiently are we using a vCore? So we took the number of calls. Just because an API is getting a lot of calls doesn't mean you're actually utilizing those vCores efficiently, right? Because you could have assigned a lot of vCores to an API which doesn't get that many calls, right? So this shows you, which APIs are really utilizing the vCores efficiently, and that's again the same information, but the amount of data they're processing per vCore. I'm going to hand it back to you, Prasenjit. My part is done. Apologies, I know we tried to fit a lot of this into the 1 hour, but we saw a lot of synergy between the two topics. So thank you for your attention.
Sure, no problem. Thank you, Kapil, for sharing with us your thoughts. First of all, are you able to hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, let me share my screen back. Now, and I sincerely apologize. I didn't realize that I was not sharing a full screen, as it seems like. And I should have shared a full screen. So, so is it a full screen that you see now, or is it just a small screen that you see?
It looks full.
Okay. Yeah, because I saw some comments and I regret that. Okay, it probably was not a very full screen. Anyways, we have come to the exciting part of the today's topic now, which is trivia questions. So as you may know, the rule for the trivia question is you cannot obviously shout out. You have to put your answer in the chat. Okay, so you have to put your answers in the chat, and then we have to see whoever got the first correct answer, and the trivia goes to him or her. So I know it's a bit tricky. It's probably not the best way of doing, but this is how we have been doing for the last I think 5 or 6 times that we have been doing this, and so we'll get started on that. So we have 3 questions, and let's see. All these questions are related to this topic. So if you have paid some attention, probably you will get this right. So a lot of people will get this right, but the point is whoever gets this right first time. So let's go. It's fun. So I'm going to go for the first question now. So this is the first question. Just share your option number, and we'll see in the chat. Okay. So yeah, we see a lot of responses already. I think let's pull it. So we'll close it now, and as you can see, 95% people all got the right answer. So it looks like everybody got the right answer. So it's Madhava who got the first right answer. It's obviously a matter of split seconds, microseconds maybe, to get the right answer. So the right answer is Mule Accelerator Project can run on Mule 4.2.1 and above. Okay, we'll go for the next question. Let me put a line so that it's clear. Here goes the next question. Okay, so obviously the answer is this, 4.2.1 and above. This is the next question. So okay, Sridhar got it right, and so okay, most of us actually got it right, but Sridhar got it right first. And the question was, Metrics Accelerator Project can run on and all of the above. So local, Cloud Hub, on-prem, all of the above. So Sridhar got it right. We got it right. Mentioned it's kind of the microsecond thing. It was really fun to do this physically, but it's a lot of fun to do this in this virtual format as well. So yes, the answer is all of the above. So here goes the next question. This is going to be the last question. So here it goes. Metrics Accelerator Project can run on. Okay. Okay, I see a lot of answers. All of them are right answers. So everybody was following me, and that was great. And yeah, so we close it out again. Akshay got it right the first time. Everybody got it right, but Akshay got it first. So Akshay goes. So it goes to Akshay for the third one. So both API mode and polar mode is the answer. So yeah, thank you. I think it was a great session. I thank you all for your participation. We have questions, so I'll post it in the MuleSoft Meetups YouTube channel, and hopefully it was beneficial. If you want to participate in the meetups, if you want to present in the meetups, please feel free to reach out to me. My email is something that I'm going to put in the chat here. So let me know what topics you want to present, and hopefully we'll be able to work with you. For example, Sridhar has presented and it was fabulous. And Big Compass, I thank you for your participation today. It was great. Aaron, thank you for your continued support. Thank you everyone for chiming in and participating. I will take a note of the trivia winners and contact with you. Yeah, trivia winners, please feel free to share your email directly with me. I'm sorry. Sridhar, I have your email, but I need the email. I should have said this earlier. Madhava, I need your email. I'll see if I can. There should be a way to directly, get in touch with you. But please, if you can send me your email, that would be awesome. Madhava, I can see your email. Awesome. So, Akshay, if you can share your email, please. Okay, Akshay, you shared your email. Awesome. Great. Okay. Thank you, everyone, and see you in the next meetup. And hopefully you enjoyed the session. Share your comment, feedback directly to me. And thank you. I'll stop recording.